When I reached the isolated cottage on that cold January night, the only thing that greeted me was a set of mysterious footprints in the snow. I should have turned around and never looked back, but something kept me moving forward. This was my chilling experience in the Scottish Highlands.
Today, we're going to share a chilling experience submitted by one of our subscribers, Lauren. To share your own experience, please get in touch through email or any of our social media channels in the description. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe and turn on the notifications so you never miss any of our weekly uploads. Now, back to the story.
After a stressful end to the year at work and Christmas with the extended family, I was desperate for a break, a proper escape from Edinburgh's relentless buzz. I booked a week away at a cottage deep in the Loch Arkaig pine forest, miles away from the nearest town. The listing promised tranquility, gorgeous forest views, and a chance to reconnect with nature. Little did I know it would be anything but tranquil. Rolling up in early January, I could hardly see the road. It was barely visible under the snow, winding through the thick forest like a forgotten trail. I finally reached the cottage. It was absolutely stunning, tucked among massive pine trees, blanketed in fresh snow. Stepping out of the car, the isolation hit me instantly. The only sounds were the soft crunch of snow under my boots and the distant hoot of an owl. But then, I saw something that gave me the chills. Footprints. They started at the edge of the woods and led straight up to the porch, ending at the front door. No tire tracks, no signs of another vehicle, nothing. Just those lonely prints like someone was waiting for me. Thinking they belonged to the owner, maybe someone checking in or doing some maintenance. At least, that's what I hoped. I grabbed my phone to send a quick text thanking them for the directions and to let them know I'd arrived, but got nothing in reply. I shrugged it off and got stuck into unpacking, trying to settle into my first night away from the city chaos. As the snow kept piling up and the night dragged on, I started hearing weird noises. I told myself it was just the usual creaks of an old house and the wind howling through the trees. But soon the sounds became harder to ignore. Floorboards groaning like someone was walking up the stairs, and random thuds that made my heart skip a beat. I gathered the strength to go investigate, but found nothing out of place. I told myself I was just on edge from being in such a remote spot. And after not hearing anything else for an hour or so, I tried to get some sleep. The next day started with a beautiful sunny morning, which made me feel at ease. I reassured myself that last night was just me being tired and adjusting to the new surroundings. I went out for a hike to explore the area, made a big bowl of mac and cheese, got properly settled into the cottage, and started enjoying my well-deserved holiday. But the peace wasn't to last. That night, while I was curled up on the sofa watching TV, the lights started to flicker and then went out completely, plunging the cottage into total darkness. I froze, listening for any sounds or movement. The crippling fear was back. Eventually, I mustered the courage to try and find the problem. I checked the fuse box. It was all fine. That meant I'd have to check the generator I'd spotted in the outbuilding that morning. I grabbed my flashlight and headed outside to check it. The cold air slapped my cheeks as I approached the small outbuilding where the generator was set up. The snow was thick, making every step feel like a slog. When I got inside, I noticed the generator switch had been pushed off. I tried telling myself it might have just tripped, so turned it back on and headed back towards the relative safety of the cottage. That's when I noticed them, new footprints, leading from the edge of the forest to the windows to the room I had been in before heading back into the thick pine trees. My heart was racing. I realized someone must have been watching me and couldn't shake the feeling they still were. I ran back to the cottage as fast as I could, barricading the door behind me. Feeling a wave of unease, I pulled out my phone again and shot another text to the owner, hoping for some reassurance or explanation. But once more, nothing. The silence just made me more anxious. Eventually, after hearing nothing outside, I tried to think of an explanation for the fresh footprints. Could it have just been an inquisitive animal looking for scraps? After all, I hadn't got close enough to look properly, I thought, trying to settle my nerves. The next morning was another gorgeous one, but the footprints had been covered up by all the fresh snow overnight. I explored the edge of the forest and around the cottage, but saw nothing out of place. Hoping I was just spooked by the generator fuse tripping, I baked some of my favorite snacks, tried to distract myself by sketching the beautiful view out of the window, and started to relax and enjoy my escape again. But once more, the peace only lasted until the darkness of night arrived. The final straw was that stormy night. The winds were so fierce they felt like they were shaking the very foundation of the cottage. I could have sworn I saw a dark figure move across the trees at the edge of the forest. I was terrified. I didn't want to stay, but I knew that trying to get out on the narrow, winding roads in weather like this would be almost impossible. I closed all the curtains, packed my bags, and cowered on the sofa, watching funny videos on my phone, trying to make it to dawn so I could finally get out of here. I must have dozed off because I was suddenly jolted awake by a loud bang that echoed through the house. Desperate to leave, I grabbed my coat and keys. I decided I had to go right then. I didn't want to find out what that was. Heart racing, I grabbed my bag, grateful I had already packed. As I reached for the door to finally leave, another loud bang echoed through the house, followed by another, then another, getting louder and more menacing. Was that someone trying to kick the kitchen door down? Fear surged through me. There was no time to ring the police, no other options. I bolted out the door into the storm, the icy wind whipping around me as I sprinted toward my car, snow making it hard to see. I was in. I started the car, put it into reverse, and as I looked up to the cottage, one last time the headlights caught something that made my blood run cold. A man in the shadows, slowly walking out of the front door. He stopped in front of the cottage and just stood there, completely still, like he was watching me leave. I didn't wait to think twice. I floored it and drove off as fast as I could. I called the police once I got onto the motorway and finally felt a bit safer, but the storm had become so fierce they couldn't make it to the cottage until the morning. By then, the mysterious man was long gone, and I was happy that I was too. I never went back to that cottage, and the owner never replied. Driving back to Edinburgh, I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was still watching me, even amidst the city lights. The footprints, the loud bangs, and the man stood in the doorway. They still haunt my dreams, reminding me of that terrifying winter when a simple escape to the Scottish Highlands turned into a nightmare I can't forget.
Thank you for tuning in. Would you stay at the cottage in Loch Arkaig Pine Forest? Let me know in the comments. If you're fascinated by chilling mysteries, puzzling disappearances, and haunting tales, Midnight Echoes is your destination. Subscribe, like, share, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload, because the darkest truths often emerge just when you think the night is quiet. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.